true. Here we are. Hello to the thousands of viewers.
Pepper, stop.
Oh.
Oh my god, Pepper's about to get canceled. I can't believe this.
He almost knocked all my bookmarks down. I just organized them.
Honestly, cancelable offense. I get it.
True.
Unbelievable.
Hashtag cancel. Hashtag Pepper is
Hashtag cancel Pepper. Pepper is over party. Can I go on a 1 second brief tangent and just say I just cast some new resin bookmarks the other day. I just made new ones recently. I have some other ones, but
wow,
it's been fun. I have a couple.
And when will you be selling them? And
what a good question. Well, the problem mostly has been that it's too hot for me to do this regularly. So the temperature finally dropped. The temperature finally dropped to like only 85 or something, or like 78. So I was finally able to make these, but as soon as it hits like 90, it's like, it's over. I don't think you can actually successfully make these things.
You're talking to the two Canadians, so I don't know what that means.
Oh, that is so true. Let me Google something really quick. How hot is that?
28. Sounds hot to me.
Fahrenheit to Celsius. 35 degrees Celsius.
Oh,
yeah.
So if it's, sorry, I was saying nonsense numbers where you're like, okay, what does that mean? Okay.
Like, wow,
it has to be. Wow, I've been burned fully.
Yeah.
It has to be 29 degrees Celsius or under for me to be able to make stuff. So if it's too hot, like 100 Fahrenheit, which is 37 Celsius, is this tracking? Yeah. Okay. So then it's like impossible. And we've had so many heat waves over here. So it's too hot.
So have we.
It's crazy. Yeah. Anyway. I believe that there are heat waves. It's just that when you guys are like, it's 30 something, I'm like, that's so cold. Like, what do you mean? That's freezing.
Yeah,
I wish it was cold.
And I'm like, haha, I wish.
Pepper, I swear to God.
Pepper,
the threats are coming out.
We'll get it trending.
Pepper, this is a fragile.
They're kind of fighting right now, so I have to like separate them.
Oh no!
The one arm to separate. That's like, stop it, please.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
What a time! Well, today we're here.
Welcome to our show
to talk about
celebrate the life of
Her Majesty's Royal Coven. And also maybe a little bit of a Fragile Enchantment, but I really don't remember.
I remember I forgot I read that book. Like I literally forgot that book was read by me.
I remember liking it. Yeah. I can talk about the fact that I liked it, and I was like, I need more Regency stuff after this.
I thought it was like I gave it like a 3.5, I think.
I
think I gave it a 4.
I gave it 5. I just had such a fun time, and the audiobook was really good. I had a
oh my god, I love the audiobook because she had such a fun accent.
Yeah. And I don't remember his name, but I love the guy. I don't know. I also love the little trio of people.
Yes, I liked them.
The way that you remember, it's great. I don't.
I don't remember much. It's been many.
I remember nothing. I like the trio. I'm like, yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I remember everything. And you were like the trio, and I was like, there were other characters besides the two main people in the book. Now that you mention it, I don't remember the guy's name. What was it like? Prince Andrew or something.
Finn? Why do I have Finn in my head?
Finn.
It's probably not.
Donovan is killing it. I don't think it was Finn.
Enchantment. Okay.
Kit. Oh it was Kit.
Kit. But also both these books had main characters named Neve. That's really weird.
I know. I noticed that. Oh my fucking god.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I didn't realize because I read them so far apart from each other.
Yeah, same.
Or I finished them so far apart at least. Because I feel like I started reading Fragile in like, what, March? Or something? And then I technically, I think it was March? April? March?
Oh,
My review, yeah, I read it at the beginning of March.
Really?
I think it was our March book.
Yeah.
Which me and Sasha, you must have read it like at the end of February because you always read it way before everybody else on that one.
Apparently. I don't do that for my real life book club.
You what?
I don't do that for my real life book club. I'm so behind everybody.
Just showing off to the whiners. That's all.
True. Gotta keep my priority.
What'd you say?
I keep interrupting. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. So true. And what do you have to say? Just anyways, my Goodreads review for A Fragile Enchantment was, no, I don't relate to the main character. Why do you ask? And I don't remember why I wrote that. Oh my god. Sasha is fighting for her life.
Don't get 4 cats at once. It is a bad decision.
Okay, noted.
Okay, sorry, we're good.
So here we are with this book.
That book.
Do we like? How do we even do this?
Here's what I'll say. My Goodreads review for Fragile Enchantment was all caps. I guess I love Regency romances. My Goodreads review for Her Majesty's Royal Coven, I believe, was also all caps and was, what was that ending? And that's all I came here to talk about, honestly, is just what happened at the end, because that's not what I signed up for, okay? Like, that's not what I thought.
I signed up for none of what I got.
Yeah, my review was
hate it.
I gave it 2 stars. I did not like it.
Oh my god.
I was so disappointed. This is the most disappointing thing I've read all year.
I'm so sorry.
Ever?
Not
oh
ever.
my god, T. No. Say more. Say more about that.
There was just like everything about it. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like any of the characters other than Nave. I just had no fun, essentially. Like, I'm trying to look at my notes because I did write some stuff down.
Imagine. Imagine taking notes.
The ending was literally horrifying. That was the stupidest thing I've ever read in my life. That I want to get that line, that last line of fiction, tattooed on my body for just my whole future. I hated the writing style.
Why do you want to get it tattooed if you hated it?
Oh, just to remind myself.
Just like in preparation for future cremation, where it's like, I will burn this somehow.
Exactly. Yeah, I wanted to like it. Like, I felt like the potential was really strong, but it just let me down so aggressively that I was just like, whoa.
I liked Neve and her boyfriend or whatever.
Boyfriend is a very loose term.
What?
Wait, what?
Boyfriend is a very loose term. Like, I don't
love interest.
they weren't really like together.
They were together by the end.
Like, kind of.
They did some stuff that.
Oh, that doesn't mean you're together. That just means
and then afterwards. And then didn't they like agree to like adopt somebody together basically? Or it was like, it's like, I don't want to put a label on it, but we're adopting a child, we have a house together, and we have rings on.
Yeah.
But
because I don't remember that at all.
Well, I remember when they were basically like, well, Neve was the one who was like, I'm gonna adopt Theo, basically. Are you cool with that? And he was like, yeah. And then she was like, also, I'm a witch. Which I don't tell anybody.
Yes.
And that was kind of like the whole, like, you gotta be serious if that's happening. Why do I keep doing this? That's not that's not why. It's just because of the witch.
Serious.
This is the ritual circle. This is the candle. Okay, it happens. It's a witch thing.
Sure.
Okay?
That is one name for it.
Mhm.
You should tell that Sarah J. Maas, get her to like have that in her back pocket for her next series or whatever.
What have I put out in the world?
Okay, so you gave it 2 stars.
Yeah.
What did you give it, Rachel?
I think I gave it 3.
Okay.
Did you give it 5?
I gave it 4.5.
Oh my god. Why?
I had a grand old time, even though I wanted to literally kill Helena and yeet her off a cliff because she was horrible. But I really liked the writing, and I just I found it very readable. Like I would just sit down and read a lot of it in one sitting, and I was like, whoa. That doesn't happen too often. I don't know. I really liked the way it talked about transphobia, and I don't know. I thought it was very interesting, and I don't know if I've ever read about a witchy book that talked about gender identity, so I thought it was unique. I liked it. And I definitely want to read the next book because what the heck?
I feel like they just shoved that into the end to be like, oh shit, wait, we gotta put a sequel out there. Okay, wait, how are we gonna get people invested? Because I was like, you wrapped everything up.
Literally.
So I assume this is a one book wonder type of series situations. That's standalone is what that's called. So I figured, I was like, that's where we are. That's it. We're standing alone. And then it was actually, we're just spoiling it now, right? We're just
Oh yeah.
Right.
There's no
actually oh, that's because you never let me be Sporty Spice, bitch. Where I'm like, are you kidding me? First of all, that's your line. And secondly, since when can you just do that? At the end, it's by the way, everybody, I forgot to mention in the first 475 pages, but I could just switch bodies with people and then I smother my sister in my body, kill her, and then walk out. La 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 la. End of book. I'm what are you doing? That's not what it's for.
Literally.
That's not what the book was for. What?
Preach.
And
Preach.
And then she was like, I feel bad for not having seen my sister. It's been 2 years, but I've been going to see her because that was what Grandma, was her name Annie, I think, wanted me to do.
Don't even get me started.
I want to get you started.
I loved that woman. That was the only person I was rooting for in that entire book. And then
I was shocked that they killed her, where I was like, I feel like grandmas are off limits. Where I was like, what are you actually
and the way
allowing
that they did it
if that's allowed? Oh,
I was like, what are you doing? I was so upset. That was my first moment where I was like, oh, I don't want to keep reading. The rest of it, I was like, I'll keep reading. I like it enough. It's fine. But that was the first moment where I was like, you crossed the line, Juno. I don't know what to do from here.
Oh my god. That it was so wild because I think I had to re-listen to that scene in the audiobook again because I was like, surely I must be getting it wrong. Why are they talking about her being dead at her house and they found her frozen to death? That doesn't make sense. And I rewinded it and listened to it again and I was like, wait, this it fully feels like killing the dog or a grandparent or something. It's just it's not allowed. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Anytime something like this happens, it's an older person who's that old wise character or the animals, and then they're killed off just to further the plot. I'm literally find something else. I'm so sorry, but you cannot touch my babies.
Yeah, and I don't remember if there was even an explicit reason why they felt, because it was Helena that felt like she had to kill her off, because it felt like it was just out with the old and in with the new, blah, blah, blah. And it was but you're also the old, you're also the Her Majesty's Royal Coven. That's kind of the old traditional ways that are not
It's because she could see the future, so she killed her so that she wouldn't warn the others what Helena was planning on doing.
Yeah.
Okay, what about like just a sleeping pill? Like you don't have to do.
I don't know. She's a bitch. Like,
I mean, you are right. She was the worst.
Like, oh, I guess I have to do this. I have no choice. And I was like, at least she died. I was happy about that.
I was too.
When they were like, oh, is she gonna have like a trial and everything else? And they're like, no, we're just killing her. We're just fully like, good. She's gone. It's like, but she has a daughter, and it's like, yeah, I don't care. Boom, and she was just out.
I felt like the ending was very rushed for both
I agree.
and Knave's like deaths, essentially, because like it just like was like bang bang, we're done, you're both dead, and I was like, whoa, let's take a minute, let's process what just happened. Like I felt like it was so rushed, and that was another problem I had with it.
I
fully agree
that Neve died. Like you cannot even convince me that she died.
This is the delusional, like maybe they survived somehow thing, but like the way that it was framed and the fact there's a second book and she was literally the main character means that she's obviously still alive. Like she's got to be like in a coma or something. Or she's gonna like find out she had a secret witch power just like her sister where she can't be killed and she pops out of the ground or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Darian, when you read this, because I certainly won't be, can you just like let me know?
Oh, I'll let you know.
Just like text the group chat and be like, here's...
I could probably just look it up on Goodreads. I don't know why I'm like, I'm gonna wait till Darian reads it. Like, I could literally just look it up.
I mean, I do like. I remember we got the arc at work like not 2 years ago. Whenever it came out, a year ago, for the second book, and I was like, "Oh, I'll take it just in case I like the first one," and I did.
That was good. That was convenient.
So now I have it.
I love the covers of the books. I will say that much. Like the covers are really pretty. And I really wanted to like the series for the covers because the second and third books, I like the covers more than the first one. But then I was like, I can't justify it to myself.
Hey, I do have bad news, which is the second book starts the description on Goodreads.
Yeah, I know how it's
dead.
I know how it's
I know, I'm in denial, please.
I have to keep up my delulu-ness.
She's not.
It's just like the thing about it is I kind of feel like it's like a Vampire Diaries like teledrama type of deal where it's like she's about to be crowned the high priestess, but then she dies and then switches bodies with the sister so that the evil sister will be crowned the high priestess. But it just feels like it's a Vampire Diaries plot.
I'm pretty sure it actually was a Vampire Diaries plot. Somewhere in that like
early couple seasons, like
somewhere in that random bunch of episodes that is the Vampire Diaries, I'm sure that plot was used somewhere. You're so right.
I mean, like, I felt like there was definitely like a charm and a whimsy to it that eventually I was like, oh, this is not like a serious book in certain ways and it is in others. So the part where I was like, oh, it's not that serious about like them hanging out and just being like a little found family and stuff, I was like, okay, like this is cute. I can just enjoy that part. But then it would like really like sharp turn and be like, everybody's trying to kill Theo. And it was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, okay. And like part of it was kind of fun when you saw like all the kids, I forget what her name was, but the other kid of the other woman who was like, we gotta go. And she was like in her pajamas and she was like, hold on. And then she was like, I'm gonna just use magic in front of your dad and like, we'll do this later. And the dad was like, tell me what's going on right now. And she was like, literally no. Like, I have to go. There were a few scenes kind of like that weirdly enough I enjoyed, even though they were so like they were under bad circumstances. But I do just kind of feel like other things didn't match the tone of the book. So it kind of gave me the whiplash between like the cozy feeling and then the stress feeling. And then the like, I think I'm enjoying this part. But then suddenly I'm like, why is Annie dead? Why is that happening?
No, exactly. I fully agree.
Her name was Holly.
Holly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree with you, Rachel. That's why I didn't give it 1 star, because there were still like certain scenes that I did really enjoy where I was just like, yeah, like I feel like I'm getting more invested. We're good. But then it was like whiplash. Like it took me completely out of the story. There was not like a central like tone to the story. It was just all over the place. And that was what took me out of it so much and what made me not want to pick it up and what made me have such a hard time enjoying it.
I think I was struggling through it for a little bit, and then I hit a point in the book where I kind of had more of like a similar experience with you, Darian, where it was kind of like, okay, like I'm enjoying like picking this up. There were certain things where I was like, I don't know where we're going with this plot line or anything like that. It was still like enjoyable to read as an audiobook and like to continue with it. So I definitely think there's still like a mix of things, and obviously I liked it more than Sasha, but less than Darian. So like something in the middle of the two. There's something there.
Yeah.
I forget. I was just gonna say something and now I've forgotten. I
don't know. I just had a fun time. Except when Helena was there.
Oh, I was gonna say I did feel sorry.
Go. You're good.
I was just gonna say I felt like Helena was like this comically evil villain for like almost the whole book, where I was like, okay, why hasn't she been struck down yet? Like she is clearly like so, first of all, like a huge transphobe, but also just generally evil, where I'm like, if she has like frost powers and then Annie's dead by frost in her house next to a raging river, I feel like that happened early enough in the book that they should have been like, connect those dots, okay? Like it's not that complicated, okay? Do something about her. And then multiple times she would attack Theo and everybody else, and they'd be like, we gotta do something because Helena's gonna attack us again. And I was like, wait, she already did, so like do something about it. Like, why are you waiting for it to happen again for next time so you can also flee the state? Like, what's your plan? Nothing. It was like, just wait. And another thing, how come early on in the beginning, Neve shows up and they're like, we have this evil little warlock child that's locked up and they're so dangerous or whatever. Neve goes in, talks to Theo, and then is like, Theo's coming home with me. And they were like, oh, okay, all right, sure, you're the boss. Where I was like, I thought she was just like a horse whisperer, like she was really good with animals. And then suddenly they're like, yeah, just take a child. Like, what's the difference between a horse and a kid? And then she just like fully like takes Theo into her home, and then nobody even like blinks an eye when they were like, everybody else in Witch Society thinks that this is like the worst person ever who's like gonna bring about the demise of everyone in all of Witch Society. And then she's like, actually, that's my kid. And like, I love that as a trope, but the fact that they were just like, that's fine with me, was wild. That like nobody said a word. It was good.
Yeah. I wish I remember.
Can I say Helena for a second?
Yes.
Her whole personality, everything about Helena was just so bad. Like there was not a single redeeming quality. And in my books, I like when the villains they have like a little something I can like root for, like a little seedling of something where I'm just like, okay, there could be some good here.
Yeah.
Took a wrong turn, baby. I can get you back on track. Like this was not that. Like there was literally no seedling. Like I think she like did the opposite of a seed. Like there was no growth. There was just like she sucked that into her and just like nothing could come out. Like she was horrible. And being in her perspective was one of the worst parts of the story. And I just, because she was so unlikable in every way, like obviously she was very transphobic, and the parallels between like her and I think the whole point was doing it kind of like paralleling between her and J.K. Rowling. I think that's what I read somewhere, because it kind of all was written at like the same time. So I think it was like commentary on that. So I did understand that aspect, but she was just so horribly bad that there was nothing where I could just like grasp onto her perspective at all. Like she was just like, I hate trans people, they're not real people, blah 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 blah. And it's just like there's nothing redeeming. And I think that was a really big problem I had with it, is because I just don't have anything good about this one person who I did spend a lot of time in their POV. Like it wasn't just like a couple of chapters. Like we were there a lot, and I was like, let's go. We gotta
let's move on.
Down. Like, let's find someone else. So that is what I think my biggest problem was with the story when I was reading it, was that there was nothing good at all that I could like grasp onto, or that people who supported her could grasp onto. Like, there was no depth. It was just, we're bad, you're bad, I'm evil, that's all. Like, there was no depth to it. And so that,
because I feel like she was so like one-dimensional was the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I struggled so much with her. Like, I didn't mind being in Nave's perspective. I liked her. I liked that she was a vet, because I was like, okay, girly, we're in the same profession, kind of. I liked, honestly, like, Elle was, I think her name was Elle. I didn't mind her. I thought she was like a little bit like materialistic and like a little juvenile, but like I didn't mind her. And then was it Leonie was the other girl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her perspective too, and I wish we got more of her coven, because they seemed so incredibly interesting. And it was just like this whole like new way of doing witching, and I was like, this is great. And then all we got was just transphobia, dead characters, blah, and it was just like, whoa. And it, like, that for me was really hard to like be invested, because I was just like, oh, nothing I wanted to learn about was there.
I think it was exactly that like, I think Juno Dawson like laid the groundwork for this story, but there were just parts of it that I wish were developed more to create a more interesting story with the skeleton. Like, if we learn more about Leonie's perspective and like the things that were going on in her coven, then it would like make a greater dichotomy between that and the old ways. But we got to see like 1.5 sermons kind of, where it was like that, and then they were having like the fundraiser thing at the end. So we sort of saw that, but it was mostly just the fact that there was a fundraiser, and there wasn't a lot about like, how did this develop, and like, how does the magic work like one way versus another? Is one stronger, or is like one weaker because it's not on the like traditional ways, but it's still better in like a different way or something like that? Like, I think that would have been interesting to explore, to have like, you know, different people who are like feeding into, you know, these different ways that we do it. Sasha just allows it simply. This is like,
well, Plum is my best friend. She can do whatever she wants.
She can do whatever. It's fine.
Sit on my head, apparently.
But yeah, like, and then we would have things that were like the full one-dimensional nature of who's like clearly the villain from very early on, and the only redeeming thing is everyone's just like, oh, but we were friends like 30 years ago or something. And it's like that, like, people fall out of friendships all the time if people start being really shitty to you. So the fact they kept like continuing to give her second chances and third chances and so on, where I was like, I cannot believe this. I'm like, in a way, I was like, this is probably showcasing like how good of a person that Neve is, to be willing to be like, I'm gonna have the annoying hard conversation with someone and like do that. Because I think in a way it's like, it's good to read about that, because you're reading someone like actually trying to make the effort to connect with someone, and then be like, look, you don't actually get that you're doing something super wrong, so let me try to explain to you why the things that you're saying are really hurtful. But then like they just kept doing that over and over and over again, it felt like. And I just didn't get the sense that anybody else was, I don't know, it was almost like, if you're a compassionate, good person and you realize like someone else in your life is being really shitty to the other people in your life, making a concerted effort true. Making a concerted effort to like cut those people out of your life after you've tried to like give like let them redeem themselves or something, and they just refuse to do it, is kind of like another point of being a good friend to other people. You know what I mean? So, and also especially because like that was someone that was in her care. So she's like, Theo is now basically like my daughter. So like I want to protect her. And then they just continue to hang out with someone who was literally trying to kill her all the time. So I was like, I don't feel like that's even just like, oh, my kind of like annoying friend comes over and makes like shitty microaggressions at you. It's like literally coming at you with a knife constantly. Like that's a dangerous situation. You have to do something about that.
Literally. Can I say something that
Can I say something?
But I'm gonna say it anyway. I feel so Juno Dawson is a transgender woman, so she brings a very important perspective to the story, especially where I heard that it was, as far as I know, indirect comment of what's been going on in the UK with J.K. Rowling and stuff like that. So she brings a really interesting perspective. But because, for my opinion, personally, I found it to be very jarring because we just got now there is Theo who is, questioning their identity, which is so valid and real. But then it was just one half of the book was like, there was no transphobia. And then there was the other half of the book that was like all transphobia. And I was like, I feel like somebody reading that who may be kind of going through that type of journey may have had a hard time connecting the two story halves together. Just because it was so like drastically, like 1 minute we were all like, fine, it was just an evil child. And then the next we're all just like completely questioning their identity and making them feel bad about themselves and all this stuff. And it's just like, I feel like it was a very jarring situation. And I don't know if someone reading this would be able to put that past them in order to read it. Because I know I was surprised and I was like, whoa, this is a lot all at once. And I don't have, like, I'm not questioning my identity. I'm not dealing with like transphobia in real life toward myself. But I do know people that do. Like, I have friends that are transgender. I almost said transphobic. That's insane.
That's insane. It's actually offensive to all my transphobic friends.
Literally, I was like, whoa. But I feel like if they had read this, they would have been like, literally, what is happening? Because like you start off with this one story and then it goes in a completely different direction that it might be hard to swallow for some people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it partially, like, I don't necessarily think I thought it was jarring, but I did think it would be really triggering if I was reading this and I was questioning myself, and then I was reading this thing that was constantly everyone being like, your identity doesn't matter, and you're not really, like, whatever gender you think you are. In this case, Theo's like, I'm a girl. So everything being like, you're not really a girl, and therefore, like, you can't prove it. And, like, if you have, like, a piece of genitalia, then it proves that you're not whatever. And it's like, these are like the millions of different like micro and macro aggressions that happen all the time. Goodbye, Darian.
Said I'm tired of slander. Bye.
She said, actually, I love this book. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of that. I don't necessarily think it would make sense for them to have brought up transphobia much earlier, because I think it only came to the forefront once Helena was like, oh, she's not a girl. Or
yeah, no, and it definitely wouldn't have, and that's why I feel like the book wasn't developed in the way that I wanted it to be, because I feel like if we had eased ourselves into it a little bit more, I think you're right. I think hello. I think triggering is a much better word. I think that was the word I was trying to get to in my noggin, but couldn't get there. Because yeah, I think it would be quite triggering. But that's why I feel like there were certain elements of the story that I just didn't feel like were developed in the way that I think would have told the most interesting and straightforward story. I feel like things were just kind of not necessarily thrown in there for like dramatic effect, but for lack of a better way of describing it, thrown in there for a dramatic effect. Like, I feel like there were certain things where I was like, whoa. And then it just progressed. And like the second half of the story, it was just very much like, this is a lot. Like, this is
like piled it on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I do think there were parts of it where I was like, ooh, that was like probably, if it was up to me, I would say like probably pretty triggering for like a lot of trans people or non-binary people reading it. And then I was like, phew, okay, that's over. And then we would read other parts and I would be like, and we're back. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was just like, we're back to the regularly scheduled programming stuff. And I think in a certain way where it's like, especially like as an own voices thing, you can never really say like, that's not right. Because it's obviously not for us to judge. But I also think that like, it's very dependent on what you can and can't handle. So, I mean, I would just like go into it with the thought of like, this could be really triggering for some people, but other people might also see that as like an experience where they feel really seen because they're like, I've heard this a million times and like now we're talking about it. But I also wonder if they're like, I've experienced this, therefore why are we not like getting rid of this bad witch already? Like, why are we doing this again? So I don't know. I mean, to me, I felt like they played that out like many times over. and like have those conversations again and again in a way that just felt like a little bit uncomfortable as a person who's not even like being targeted, that I would imagine would be like much worse for other people.
I think it's definitely like 50-50. Like, I think there are going to be some people that go into it and they're like, yes, this is the conversation that needed to happen. I feel so seen and heard, and I love this. And I think there are going to be some people that are like, whoa, I wasn't ready for this kind of conversation yet. But I wish that had been like a trigger warning going into it. I feel like it really should have been somewhere in like the Goodreads description or in the book itself, like in the front, because some authors are now including their trigger warnings, which I think is really great. At least it wasn't anywhere that I found it personally, but I just wish it had been included somewhere, because I feel like then it would have made the story a lot easier for myself to digest, because I would have known a little bit, okay, this is what I can expect. And I feel like it would make it easier for others to digest as well if they had that trigger warning, because it is such a blatant part of the story. Like, it's not just a little.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Also, on the note that you had said about like there being like an evil warlock child that was going to bring about the end of everything, did they say specifically like evil warlock kid or just a kid?
I think they just said a kid. I think I just in my head was like,
oh, okay. I also thought it was evil warlock kid, but then I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I think they did say specifically, because that was Helena's whole thing, was that it was like it's specifically a male, and however he, she, whatever identifies, blah blah blah.
I think we're right, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
So then, where did that go? Because we never came back. We never circled quite back around to that. They were just like, okay, so it can't be Theo. So then, I thought it was like, I was pretty sure at the beginning they said warlock, but by the end I was gaslighting myself to be like, maybe it was just a kid. And I was like, oh, it has to have been Neve's like twin sister who is totally evil this whole time.
Yeah.
But also she was like an adult woman who was like about 40, so also not a child. So like, I don't know anymore.
Right? It's like, who knows?
I'm assuming it'll be in the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the series like itself interesting and like kind of like enticing, I guess, to read, because there are so many questions that were not answered that will probably be answered in the second and third book. I personally don't have any interest in the questions, but like I can see why so many people would be, and I can also see why so many people like this story too. Like, it has like the recipe for like a perfect story. Like, you have queer, you have witches, you have a cute little like English setting, like you have some action scenes, you have some loving scenes. Like, it really does have like the recipe for like a perfect story. And so I get why so many people love it. Like, I do, genuinely. It just wasn't for me.
What'd you love about Darian? I feel like we've been on the negative train. I want to hear about like the good.
I've just been like, yeah.
You're like, yep, so technically, okay. Like,
I mean, now that I know, or that we think it was like inspired by everything with J.K. Rowling, I find it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, I'm not an Own Voices reader, but I can see if like any trans readers who read this can see like a character like Helena, who's so obviously supposed to be the bad guy of this book, and like maybe in their own life comparing it to like J.K. Rowling, where she still has so many supporters. Like,
yeah,
that might be, what's the right word? Good.
Yeah, good, but, absolutely.
And also just the fact that like Theo had such a, like, Theo has her little coven now supporting her.
I know.
I
really liked that.
Yeah. So I feel like that would be really nice to see. I also I had a feeling that she was trans, just because I found they hinted at it a little bit, because they kept talking about like these visions that Neve would see of like Theo in the bath or something like that. And I had I knew there was something, and I had a feeling it was that she was trans. So to me, it wasn't so jarring, but it did kind of it was, I think it should have been brought up earlier, but I also didn't find it as jarring as you did. But I also
I'm just also really dumb when it comes to picking up clues and things for books. Like,
that's me.
I texted Darian and I was like, "This is a thing, maybe," and she was like, "Yeah, I know," and I was like, "What?" how? Like, how are you the smartest person alive? Like, how happy? I'm just like, whoa.
Normally,
okay, wait.
Yes.
Puzzle me this, Darian, because I don't understand this part. Why in the middle of the book? Because I had to stop reading. I was on a road trip. I was listening to this book, and then I was like, I have to switch. And I listened to Fourth Wing instead. So that's your fault. But I was listening to the part where Leonie goes out in the woods, stripped naked, goes out in the woods, looks at the moon, puts dirt in her vagina, and then the chapter just ends with that, where I'm like,
literally. I was like, what are you doing, ma'am?
So riddle me this. Where was the foreshadowing that I was gonna have to read that? Because I didn't want it. Where was the trigger warning for me that we were gonna get a UTI in this book? Like,
I didn't realize she put it like in there. I just thought she like buried herself.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It said that she touched herself and she was putting like some stuff down south. I mean, you got the book. You can find the chapter, but I mean, it was a lot. I made myself listen to it again just to be like, did I just fall asleep at the wheel? Like, what just happened? Was this a fever dream?
Do you remember?
And it was unfortunately real. I just know it was like around the middle.
She laid on the ground and like threw dirt on her body and just like laid. Like, I didn't realize it got weird. I mean, that is like a little weird, but like I didn't realize it got like weird. You know what I mean?
I mean, in their defense, they do talk a lot about like how witches connect with the earth and stuff. So I get it. You know, a girl's
I hope, Darian, I hope you know I'm not trying to like bash your like
I know
pick or anything. I'm just a hater. Like, that's just where I am. Like, that's my like resting form.
No, literally that's normally me. I'm not used to I'm not used to this.
I love books for that reason, because I got nothing really out of this book, but you got so much, and I love that is a thing that happens with readers, especially like friends that are readers, because it's fun to talk about and just like experience. But
I'm still trying to find this.
I'm gonna see if I can find the part where I updated Goodreads and I was like, what? Because I know I'll have like a percentage point or something at that point.
I also do think, because I mostly hear about this book from British booktubers, and I feel, and obviously Juno Dawson is British.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I mean, I still loved it, but I would like, there were a lot of parts where like they would reference like a famous British person. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I do.
That was another thing. I'm not a pop reference girly. I hate pop culture references in books because I find that it dates it so aggressively. But I forgot that happened because I was so hung up on everything else. That's the pop culture references meant nothing. I was like, oh, thank God, we're talking about like some man that I don't know and not dying people.
Okay. It helps that she doesn't have that many POVs. Like,
right.
Skip these. Oh, is it this? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, no. I don't think it's this.
I don't know if I can find it anymore. I think it was a little bit too long ago.
Before I go, because I have to go get Noah from work, are we just moving Rachel your pick to July?
Oh, yeah. I have it right here.
Oh, that just reminded me that my hold came in at the library.
Oh, wonderful.
So I gotta go get it.
Why is it so heckin' shiny?
I was like, yeah, it's a cover of a book.
It's just a brilliantly shining book. It's To a Darker Shore, which I believe is about a queer autistic girl who goes to save her girlfriend, or like to be girlfriend, like love interest, because she gets like picked. You know those things where they're always like, this is a common thing, right? Like they're like, there's a monster, we need a sacrifice, like a bride sacrifice or something like that. So like I think it's a bride sacrifice.
I think what I remember, because I just filmed my Goodreads video like not even a week ago. I think it's about this girl that because she's like poor, they usually do like a sacrifice of the poor for this like hell monster.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm gonna try to prove myself with my inventions to prove that I'm not this useless poor person. Like I can actually be useful. And then something goes wrong, and then her friend, who was like
the heir to the throne,
the heir to the throne, takes the fall and then gets
sacrificed, because they thought that like she would be like, oh well, like it's the princess, so like we're not gonna do anything, and then they're like, oh cool, we'll sacrifice you instead.
I'm really excited because the first 4 words, plain, fat, autistic, poor, that all describes me. I was so jazzed. I was like, let's go, baby. It was like, let's go. And
let's do it.
Ginger, and I was like,
oh yeah.
The rep is repping.
So hard.
I cannot find this part.
I promise it's real. Like I read this.
I remember. I mean, I don't remember. What?
It's definitely real.
Yeah, like I remember I don't remember the specifically what Rachel said, but
I just know it was the end of a chapter.
Oh, okay.
That it happened in. Sorry, I don't know if I said that earlier. If that was
it was.
Was it this? No, that's me.
I do have to go get Noah because he's officially off work and I'm still sitting here.
Okay.
I told him I'd be late, so he's okay. But
sorry, Noah. Tune into the live show.
No, literally subscribe. But I'm really glad we finally all got to chat about this. I'm sorry I talked so much. I had a lot to say.
That's okay.
It's a book club discussion. This is what it's for.
But I'm really looking forward to the next month. Hopefully Amanda will join us maybe. But I'm really looking forward to next month's book and chatting again, because I love that the Whiners is making a little comeback. Like it's making my heart really happy, even though we're all struggling to make the comeback. It's really cute that we're doing it because we started the Whiners 4 years ago.
Don't even talk to me. Don't even.
I was thinking about that. I don't like, if you saw my recent video, I was trying to figure out when I did my Goodreads chooses my TBR for the first time, and I was like, yeah, 2 years ago. And then I was like, oh my god. It's like I'm so old. So like it's just it's nice to see a little comeback happening, a little comeback moment. It's very cute.
So true.
Anyway, now that sappy shit's out of the way, I gotta go. So, see you guys next month, and goodbye.
Bye, readers.
Bye.
Bye, readers.
Okay, I'm still trying to find this. One day I'll find it.
I have to rely on you because all I had was the Spotify audiobook, and then it cut me off when I had like 20 minutes left, where I was like, oh, everything will wrap up fine. Everything is good. And the only bad thing, I think, was Snow being like, you killed my mom. I'm going to get you for this. And then it cut off like right when she was talking.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, do you want to finish the book? Well, you'll need to pay for it. So I had to wait like half a month for my listening hours to come back.
Okay, I found it.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Blah, blah, blah. Picked in blah, blah, blah. Okay, give me your second.
I want to imagine this is how you read this book, because you were like, I loved it. I just like sped right through it. You're going like, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Next. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Move on.
Is that not how you read? I just go, I don't know what this is.
I don't know, man.
Blah, blah, blah. She's crying. Sank her fingers to the wet, peaty earth. Overhead, she had full view of the cosmos. She rolled onto her back, and it felt like floating in a vast black ocean, calmest waters. The crescent moon, almost too close for comfort, bore down on her. There was something knowingly sensual about its curves, and Leonie touched herself.
She touched herself
with muddy fingers.
Gross! UTI! UTI, bitch! UTI!
Oh. See, maybe I'm just too ace for that. And I was like, she's just like hugging herself.
Oh my god.
Just giving herself a hug.
Oh my god. The thing that was so funny is just that, like, you know, there was that meme going around for a long time, which really has not died off, but it's the whole, like, you know, the moon is my girlfriend, like the moon is so beautiful, I love her so much. It's really like Leonie was like, the moon is like so hot. And she just like laid down in the woods and was like, I'm gonna do something about that right now.
So true. And then it says, the earth responded to her sexual energy, one of the most powerful energies there was. Leonie felt worms writhe meters below. A beetle across her face, closed her eyes, and let roots and vines and creepers softly embrace her, pulling her down and down into the detritus. She wasn't scared as she went under. She felt wholly safe in her dark cocoon. Tonight she would sleep in mother's lap.
Disgusting.
Listen, I think it's fine. Let her.
She laid down, was doing that, and then worms were coming out from under her, and she's like, I'm gonna stay here. In fact, take me. Put me under. Put me under right now.
Because she likes the earth. I don't know what to tell you.
Look, New Jersey is the garden state. All right? I like nature. I like it. I don't do that. I don't do that, okay?
Listen.
You can just go on hikes or like plant a vegetable, but you don't actually have to let the worms take you. There's some nasty stuff. That's
what
about the moon? You better watch him.
What are you? What? Please give more context.
Do go on, or maybe don't.
I need, please. I love these two comments back to back. But, oh my god. I mean, I don't know if I have anything else to say. I just had a grand old time. Are you gonna continue the series?
I think I might, but hopefully it wouldn't be on Spotify because I don't like it when my book gets interrupted for like 2 weeks. So I think it will heavily depend on if I can just find it somewhere else.
Makes sense.
I'm not actually even sure if it is on Spotify. I don't remember.
I haven't seen like many, like what people thought of the second one, if they liked it as much.
It's kind of new, right?
It came out last June.
Oh, it is on Spotify, but it's 15 and a half hours.
Yeet.
Which means I'm going to get cut off again.
Oh no, Becca in the book said these cliffhangers are criminal. That's not good.
Oh, that means there's a third.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a third.
Oof, I don't know if I could do it.
It looks like it has good reviews. Oh, someone is like listing off, like checking off the things the second book has, and one of them is stupid men getting their comeuppance.
We do love that. Uh-oh. Okay, here's a review that's 3 stars. I'm just being silly. We love that. This is a 3-star review. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's a part of it that does say something is lost from the first book that's difficult to pinpoint. The plot is similarly fast, and a large number of events all converge at the end, yet this time it started to feel a little bit silly. This is a combination of there being so much going on that nothing has a chance to breathe before it's resolved, despite the book being quite a 500-page slog at times, and the fact that we are following what seems to be the 3% of witches who are incredibly powerful. So, something to keep in mind, I guess.
Interesting.
But Interesting.
I'm still gonna read it.
I mean, it might still. Ooh, spoilery review.
Don't even.
Did you see how fast I clicked? Where I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, please no.
I mean, I will say I definitely enjoyed some of the characters a lot more than Sasha did, so I'm less inclined to be like, I never want to read this necessarily. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of her assessments about some of the characters, and typically, like, I love an unlikable character, but I totally agree with her about like there needs to be some thing, even if it's still like they're totally very, very bad, but there's like one streak of a thing where you're like, I kind of relate to that, even if it's not really like a very large part of their personality. It's still something where you relate to the bad guy and then you're like, ooh, that feels bad. But like that's kind of the point. Luckily, Helena is not going to be a problem anymore, I assume, but hopefully that's like something rectified in the second book where like whoever the main antagonist isn't just like they're just evil, period, but like they have something that makes you go like, ooh, what a well-rounded developed character that I also hate.
Well, I'm assuming the antagonist will be Sierra.
I assume that she'll be like the main antagonist who will also die, I guess, by the end of the second book or something, because it's like she's like the big threat.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, well, I mean, I actually do want to know a lot more about like the Warlock Society, because they were like, oh, Warlocks are like so weak because they're men. And I was like, say more about that. Like, what do you mean? Like, tell me about your magic system and all that stuff. And I think it is kind of interesting the way that like this book kind of created the different parallels of types of feminism, where like you have this very intersectional feminism with Leonie's like coven. And then you have this very like I don't know, almost like misguided is not even like a strong enough word for it, but it's the type of feminism that's just like, oh, we just hate men, period. Like we hate everybody, we hate them, women only, and like all the obviously many problematic things that come along with that. And then something that's like not really a strain of either of those types, but it's kind of like just staying in your lane feminism, where you're like, I don't really have anything intersectional to add, but I'm hanging out here and I'm being like an ally and supportive and whatnot, while also like championing feminism and stuff. So I wonder if that's like, you know, something else that we'll see in a different way in the second book, you know, like what would be like the main theme inside of that, or if it will just generally like follow those characters and see what happens with them. Because by the end, we already see obviously like the big thing that's happening with Ciara and Neve. And then Leonie and her partner are going to have a kid. And I forget, I think Elle like had to tell her husband that she's a witch, but I also don't remember if they were like, we'll just wipe everyone's minds.
No, I think she decides to tell him, but also like she still doesn't know that he's been cheating on her. So
oh, true. That's right.
Maybe he's the man that gets his comeuppance. That would be nice.
Yeah,
because he's nice. Like he's just slimy and I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, that was the kind of thing where I was like, this develops a character where it's like, do we let our friend be in a relationship with someone who isn't being like faithful to her but makes her happy, or do we like destroy her family where everything will be really bad for a while until it gets better? So I was kind of like a little surprised that the whole group was like, we'll let her be with a philandering cheat, that's fine. I was like, I guess, but also this is fiction. You guys can blow up a fictional family and then be there for her during the fallout.
So true.
But that would be something that we could have read about if they just like took care of Helena the first time and not like let her body get possessed by a demon. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, you know.
I just remember there was one part where like her husband came back from a run and he was like, let's go have sex, and I was like, what? You're stinky. Like I was just like, is this what people do? I don't know. Anyway.
Is this allowed?
Is this allowed?
Stop.
Where is it? Hello?
Hi, someone's knocking at my door.
Knock, knock. I don't
Who
know.
is there?
Oh, and his name's Jez. Disgusting.
Not a man whose name starts with a J. Red flag instantly.
So true. Honestly, if his name begins with a J, like, that's it, you know?
You gotta run.
Yeah.
You just gotta run for those hills. Make a deal with God. Get up on that hill.
Running up that hill. So true. I don't remember when this happened, but I remember being like, what? Oh.
Which part are you looking for?
I think I found it. Yeah. He comes in from a run and then he says, "Think we've got time for a quickie?" And I was like, ew. Yucky.
I love that that's the part that you're like, hold on, I gotta look this up. This happened, I promise. Hold on, wait. And I'm like, remember this crazy part in the plot? And you're like, hold on, these people are disgusting.
Because to me, I'm like, what the heck?
I do think, was it him and Elle when like he was reading Dune to somebody? Like to their kids?
I don't remember.
I think it was him. Because I was like, oh, he's doing, I'm reading Dune. It's funny. Ha ha ha. And I found out he was like cheating on his wife. And I was like, we have nothing in common. Never mind. Like, forget it.
Never mind.
I was just excited because I finally knew what the references were when they were talking about stuff. And I was like, this is kind of just like name dropping stuff from Dune to be like, look, I'm reading Dune. But I was like, I am reading Dune. So like, yay.
I do remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks.
Because also it was something I was complaining about because I was like saying like, how come this is like the big, you know, like otherworldly thing. And then the main guy's name is Paul and stuff. And I know that's like everybody's complaint, but he also said it in the book. And I was like, so true. You get me.
So true, bestie.
So true, bestie. Stop cheating on your wife, please.
He ain't gonna. Oh no, doesn't Neve threaten him? I just remember that.
I think so.
Her or
maybe after they find out that everyone's witches, then she's like, by the way, I know what you did.
Yeah. I just remembered. Now I gotta find it. Will I find it? Probably not.
Well, I am.
I feel like it happened like at the very end.
It was definitely very close to the end when like they had a big party for stuff.
Before Neve was like, I'm gonna go switch my bodies.
Not like her body, not her choice, actually, was the problem. So I was like, how are we ending on this? This feels bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't care about Helena. Get her out of my sight. Neve. Blah, blah, blah. Or maybe it was, I don't know. Oh, it was Lanny.
Okay.
She says, so now you know, right? Elle can heal people. Me and Neve can read minds, and so can Holly. How long do you think it's going to be before Holly finds out what you've been up to with her? from that hotel. And then she says, "End it or tell her." Oh, his full name's Jeremy. I forgot. That's even more.
Villain name, full villain name, actually.
So true. Yeah, she says, "End it or tell her, Jeremy. You know what we are now. You don't want to fuck with us." She gave him a big kiss on the cheek as Elle appeared at her side. As she should. I still want him to have his comeuppance.
I agree. I feel like that wasn't enough. We need something. We need retribution.
So true. Well, on that note,
we need retribution.
Stay tuned
for retribution.
Will he get wait, we get reputation.
He gets retribution, we get reputation. TV. When?
Yeah.
Speak now on this, Taylor, please.
There was, what is it? There was no more whatever. There was only reputation. What is it again? There was something. There was oh my god, I'm such a fake fan. There was only I have to Google this. There will be no further explanation. There is only reputation. Sorry, everyone, for letting you down. Okay, I gotta go.
Every single person watching this was let down in that moment. I just hope you know.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to make it up to them.
Sean and one other person, apparently.
Yeah, Sean, and then one of the, I forget what their names are, but one of those fake bot people, like the whole family.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about them. Baccarisas or something.
Oh my god, you have such an incredible memory. How are you the smartest person alive? What the heck?
How could you forget the Baccarisas?
I cannot believe you pulled that out of the dredges of my memory. Oh my god.
I haven't thought about that until you just said it.
Your mind. Crazy.
Oh my god, I haven't seen them in a while.
How are the Baccarisas doing? The Baccarise.
The whole family.
The Baccariswa.
What was the kind of stuff they would say? Like, they would just say the randomest things.
I feel like it was just, like, before we had public AI, it was what AI would be. Like, It was just, like, random stuff that they would just say. Like, it wasn't ever, like, click on this page.
Yeah.
Boobs. It was always, like, something relating to nothing.
Yeah. It was always like Happy Easter or something like that.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, thank you. But then after a while, I was like, are they real? Because I don't know. They come to like every show. Like 4 of them at a time. I feel like if it was a bot, how do you have 4 of them all logged in on the same server, coming in at the same moment to all be like Happy Easter?
If anyone watches this back, they're gonna be like, "What? What are we talking about?" Okay, it's time to go.
All right, everybody, tune in on my channel for To a Darker Shore next month, I think.
Why can't I point?
Vogue. Everybody Vogue. Everybody.
Pointing in the opposite directions.
The crazy thing is you can just put one arm down and figure out if you got it right. You just point it like this, and then you just switched positions to be like, wait, maybe it's this. What if I move it so that my thumbs are out? Then is it right?
I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Okay, what is it? To a Darker Shore? That's what it's called.
Yes, To a Darker Shore.
I can't wait.
So bright. It's so bright.
There he is.
There it is.
Read it.
Read it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the talk.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, thousands of you. Don't get canceled. We'll see you next month. Goodbye.
Pepper is over party.
Never forget.